You can't advertise your product a certain way and then act surprised when we use it like that. Okay, today's video is going to be a little different than what I normally film. Normally I go over like new cars and stuff, but there's something really bothering me about the way advertisers and car companies specifically have been advertising their cars lately. And I feel like I need to say something because I think they're treating the buyer, us, the enthusiast specifically, unfairly. I feel like the enthusiast is being targeted by these car companies and they're exploiting us for our love of cars. So let me just start with what kind of led me to start thinking like this. So most of you have probably heard about the black GR86 that had a blown engine, and that's what kind of brought all the RTV sealant issues to the forefront. For those of you that don't, essentially there was an owner of a GR86. He had a complete engine failure, and he goes to the dealer to get it fixed. The dealer found a picture of the owner drifting. It wasn't a drifting event that I know of. It was an event where you could kind of, test out the limits of your vehicle. It was an actual event. But they took that as well as a YouTube video of a different GR86 racing, but it had the guy's name on the video, so I guess they used it as evidence. So they took that to deny the guy's warranty claim. Now the guy took apart his own engine and found that it was actually some RTV sealant that was put on too heavily from the factory that ended up clogging up some parts of the oil system and preventing oil from getting to where it needs to be. Eventually, this blew up on social media. Toyota heard about it, and Toyota came out and said that they were going to cover the engine cost, that it was going to be under warranty, and everything was going to be completely taken care of. But this is what gets me though. Toyota advertises the GR86 as an enthusiast car, right? And because of that, they show videos of it drifting and going fast and doing cool stunts and stuff, and they say, don't attempt this yourself. But they're exploiting us enthusiasts by getting us excited about this product, but then they don't really have our backs when we use those products. I mean, you can't advertise your product a certain way and then act surprised when we use it like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think there are like legal laws and stuff, like they put in the fine print, you're not supposed to drift the car, you're not supposed to do this, right? But don't put it on the advertisement if you don't want us to do it. And it's not just Toyota that's bothering me about this. Ford in the new Mustang, which is really cool by the way, they integrated a drift brake, right? So the e-brake is now like a drift brake thing, and there's a drift mode, right? And I can't help but be afraid that someone is going to be drifting their Mustang in a parking lot or at a sanctioned event, wherever, and something's going to break, whether it be the e-brake itself or some other component that is under high stress while drifting, and Ford is gonna be like, well, sorry, you weren't supposed to drift in this specific way, so we're not gonna cover that repair. I'm just afraid that that's gonna happen, and I find it really sketchy that companies are advertising these cars in a certain way that makes us want to use them that way. But when we do, they don't have our backs. And I find that really disgusting. Now, I will point out that like the GR Yaris, for example, I think there is parts of the warranty that specify that they will cover certain repairs if damages occur at like a track event, right? But that still doesn't speak to me as an enthusiast. That still says to me that yes, Toyota likes us for being enthusiasts, but mostly because we'll buy the cars. I feel like a lot of us have a relationship with the car and the company, right? A lot of us love, Nissans for their Zs or Toyota for the GR86. There's a lot of brand loyalty, but more and more I've been seeing that the brand does not reciprocate that. And if they do, it's because we have to blow it up on social media or make a big stink about it, and then the manufacturer will come out and have our backs. Now, I know a lot of this has to do with dealerships, and dealerships are kind of garbage for the most part. There are good dealerships out there, but for the most part, I've had nothing but bad experiences at dealerships, with the exception of a single Subaru dealership, actually, that was really nice. I used to sell cars at a Mercedes-Benz dealership here in Spokane, and it was a great experience, but I couldn't do it. I didn't last more than like 5 months. And I realize some people see that as a long time. When I get a job, I try to stay there as long as possible. I try not to be flaky. If I'm applying to a job, I plan on staying there for a good amount of time. So for me to leave after like 5 months of a job that I absolutely hated was pretty tough for me. But it was because of just, and we weren't like pressuring people or anything. It was just the whole idea behind, it was like mind games to get someone to buy a car. Yes, they wanted the car, but you needed to make sure that they stayed at the dealership. You needed to make sure that they did it within a certain amount of time. You needed to make sure you didn't bring up other brands or they didn't look at other cars, right? You wanted to kind of trap them. You wanted to take control, and I feel like that's not how it's supposed to go. Now, I digress. I'm not here to talk about dealerships, but I have to mention that dealerships are a part of this problem, and they're really jeopardizing customer, company relations, because Toyota as a company is probably super, super cool, but this specific dealership is kind of making it not so cool. And I'm getting a little off track, but my point today is I can't help but be worried that car companies will not have our backs when we, as enthusiasts, drive cars supposedly built for enthusiasts like they're advertised. If you're going to make an advertisement about a car drifting or driving quickly or going on a dirt road, you better expect us to do that. Because one, that gets us excited because we're like, oh, it can do that? No way, I'm gonna do that too, I wanna try that. But also there are a lot of us that get these rear-wheel drive cars to get into drifting or to get into modifying. I know me personally, I drive a 99 Eclipse, it makes about 300 horsepower, and the only thing I wish it had was rear-wheel drive. And so I've been looking into like, a Mustang EcoBoost or something similar so I can still work on a 4-cylinder turbo because I'm comfortable with that platform, but something that's rear-wheel drive. And I'm just afraid of buying something like that because if I buy a car that's marketed to the enthusiasts as a tuner car or a drift car or whatever, I don't want to start using the car for that and then be worried about the dealership or the company itself not caring about me, essentially, or what I do or what I've done for them as a company. Buy their car and promote it. Now, obviously, if you're doing like engine swaps or like big turbo swaps and stuff, the company, they can't really cover that stuff. That's aftermarket. They can't do much about that. But if they're going to advertise their car as a tuner car or as something that can drift easily or something that can hit a certain speed quickly, you can't do that and then, say sorry when we break something because we used your product as advertised. I understand this is kind of a rant, and so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. And if you guys are noticing the same thing or have similar thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Smash that like button or a thumbs down. That's cool too, I guess. But I guess this video's over, and I'll see you in the next one.